Hey, it's Gabrielle from SpeechKids and Raising Orchid Kids, and I am very happy to be talking to Christine Raymond Winne. The E is not silent. Christine is a SpeechKids therapist, speech therapist. And Christine, how long have you been with us now? Do you remember?
Since the summertime, 2021, like
Summertime.
July, was it?
Yeah.
Or June? I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
This was the kind of thing where it was like clearly meant to be, because getting you in the door and like settled was so easy. So I feel like you've been here much longer because it was such a good fit. I feel like, I hope you feel the same way.
When I saw the announcement that you were looking, I'm like, oh, this sounds perfect. And I looked at your website. I'm like, oh, this is meant to be, hopefully.
Yay. And we're so happy to have you. And so just tell the good people, like, what were you doing before SpeechKids? What do you like about the kids you see with us? So it's like, tell the good people who you are.
Okay, so I'm originally from New York, and I've lived in Virginia with my husband for 13 years now, maybe. It's been a little while. About that whole time, I've worked with Fairfax County Early Intervention as a contract provider. So I did speech therapy intervention in the home with families, working on their combined plans, global skills. And I also worked part-time at a private clinic in Virginia as well. So I've done a lot of parent coaching, education, really thinking about the child as a whole and kind of addressing those needs rather than kind of just.
I'm going to stop you, because when we talk about this is exactly why we love having you here. When we talk about the whole child, when you think about that, like, what areas are you thinking about? Because I think sometimes parents don't really know what that means. They're like, yes, there's a whole child. Of course, they have a body that, but we're thinking about up here, like, what are the domains that you want to be thinking about when we're working on speech?
It literally encompasses everything. I'm looking most of the time at the beginning, I'm looking at sensory regulation and attention, because I feel like that's just such a big part of the puzzle of maybe why kids are having a hard time, because they can't sit still, because they can't attend, their body's craving or needing input that they're maybe not receiving or not getting enough of.
And the way I explain this to people sometimes, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, because we sometimes forget that not everybody knows what regulation or sensory processing is. The way I explain it is like, think about on a day when you have a really poor night's sleep and you haven't had your coffee and your head's kind of achy and your skin, and you're wearing an itchy sweater.
Yeah.
Like, some kids feel like that all day long.
Yeah. So I tell families, it's like that string or that hair that's just kind of like bothering you, and you can't focus on anything else until you get that thing cut off or pulled off. Like, it's like that.
Yeah.
And it's, all day for some kids.
And so, yes, we are looking at speech and language, but if we're not trying to get rid of that hair or string, I love that example, then the kid we're working with, they can't do any of that other stuff.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you. So sensory, attention.
Then I'm looking at their play skills, like where they're at in terms of play, because that's really important in terms of like cognitive and language too. If they don't have that symbolism of like, this can be lots of different things, that might impact like their ability to use words, because words are symbols. So they're meaningless unless you can attach something, a mental picture to it. Social pragmatics, like how they're interacting with their family, how they're interacting with other people. Emotions too, like, can they handle big emotions? Are they kind of flat and neutral and not really emoting a lot of things? Honestly, with the little ones, I'm not really looking at academic necessarily. It's more cognitive functioning through the day. Like, I want to see how they do in routines. Are there disruptions, having a hard time for whatever reason? So like all that kind of stuff. I'm sure I'm missing some things, but physical,
but you're
too,
covering
like, I want to look
ones.
and see, like, are they having a hard time moving their body?
Yeah. Motor
Motor planning stuff, because that can correlate with motor planning of the mouth too. Like, if they have a hard time figuring out how to sit down to go down a slide, they can't do that with big body muscles. They're not going to probably be able to do that well with little teeny tiny muscles in their mouth.
Yeah, I know. I often tell people, like, we're dealing with millimeters in here. Hello.
Yeah.
Where you can't see.
Super complex fine motor.
Right? Like, so yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to underlie all of that, even like core stability. Like, can you sit
Yes.
upright in a chair? Or even stand upright? And I'm gonna shift position here. Yeah, the one thing you mentioned that's hugely important is play. And I think we like, particularly toy manufacturers are like,
Yes, hate.
hate,
So
right?
I tell parents, I'm like, the toys at major box stores, they're usually not great. Like, they're all blinking, making tons of sound, talking about letters and numbers and all of those things that really, like, functionally, it's great if your kid can do it, but I'm more concerned with if they can tell you they need help, or if they want a cracker, or if they can just say hi to you. Like, that's more important to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of those toys are just lacking in the flexibility, or they're just too gadgety.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually we're going to do a whole, there's a blog post on the blog that's going to be all about battery operated toys and how useless they are.
Yeah.
At worst, they're damaging. At best, they're useless. And so,
Yeah. And it's great to go in and show parents and families, like, you can have fun with Tupperware.
yes.
Literally, like Tupperware and spoons and like things you have around the house. You don't have to have toys. Even kids like playing. I mean, we all know kids love the boxes sometimes more than the toy. So
Yes.
being creative and thinking outside the box, because it's not necessarily a natural thing to, like, because you want to buy your kids the toys, you want to get those things, but we don't need those for good interaction and play and language and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And so I'm so happy that you are here helping the families that we work with. Number one, see that. Number two, understand more about like why their kiddo is doing the things that they're doing and how that relates to their ability to communicate. And so I'm delighted that you're here. And
I'm excited too. I've been having fun with all of my clients so far. It's fun because you get to work with the families and the child at the same time. So it's best of both worlds.
yeah. Is there a particular profile that you love to work with?
I love motor speech, apraxia, like late talkers, and I'm really getting into enjoying using Gestalt language processing and how to approach therapy in a different way for those kids that use scripting and kind of repeat things back. Like, it's mind-blowing. And it's awesome to be able to support those kids in a different way that's more suited to their learning style.
It's amazing. And you're such a flexible therapist. Like, you're really, the thing that I've noticed even in the short time that you've been here is you're like constantly thinking about, okay, how can I make this better for this child?
Yeah.
And that's
therapy seems to be my special interest.
yeah. Right.
I spend my free time doing lots of continuing ed and just thinking about things, and
yeah, me
hard
too.
to
Like,
shut off, but I enjoy it and I like it. So it's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. And it's so much fun to be able to do it. Like, you know, and obviously we're remote right now, but to be able to have these kinds of conversations with you too, like it makes it all the more fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on and recording this with me.
No problem.
All right. Take care.